World War III maybe in the offing, but I want to share something that's right in your wheelhouse, a movie experience.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why, because it's important considering what Trump is up against right now
Mm-hmm.
with this criminal trial that's starting today in New York City. Jonathan Turley wrote a great piece about this lawfare. This is such a bogus, ridiculous, it would be a misdemeanor. It was a crime allegedly committed prior to the 2016 election. Lawyers have been scouring the books to try to figure out anything they can throw at Donald Trump. And you got to read his piece, Mark. Turley has a great, because we need clarity and we need perspective right now. But I want to introduce you to a movie that I suffered through yesterday afternoon called Civil War.
I'm so excited. I got to tell the audience, I told everybody I was going to see this weekend. We talked about it a lot. I played the trailer. I wondered what it was going to be. Thrilled that you're here. Didn't do it because the cold I fought with all last week. I gave it to Lisa. I guess it happens when you're living in the same house. So I had to take care of her all weekend. Glad to do that. We did not get out to see it. So I'm filled with curiosity. Go.
Save your money. Don't spend your money
but
on this.
Okay, I have to because I got to know if you're right.
But let me tell you what's happening with this. You remember the play in Central Park where Trump was stabbed to death on stage?
Mm-hmm.
Keep that in mind. They're doing a very clever trick, because I read about this movie after I saw it. First of all, it's a stupid movie. I mean, it's just it's trite and it's contrived and it's overdone, and it's just it's first of all just on the merits, it's a crappy movie. In my
the premise is that an authoritarian president played by Nick Offerman, looking very Trumpy in the
with the red
preview.
tie. Oh, you think
a little bit? The 3-term president says this will be brought under control. Who are we channeling? There are some states that secede. The weird thing seemed to be that, unlike these days where conservative states look to secede because of liberal tyranny, this looks like an amalgamation of states with high-minded progressivism seceding to get away from the Trumpy president. Am I right so far?
Led by California and Texas.
I know,
which is that's right. That's weird. But make no mistake, this is an anti-Trump screed. It was released months before the election, and your instincts are right. It's an authoritarian president who doesn't like the media. He has the media shot. And I'm going to tell you something, Mark. What happens at the end of this movie? And I'm listen. I'm funny about spoiler alerts.
Don't do it.
But I have to at least make sure you remember the Central Park play. Because that's what we're being confronted with. The big blockbuster movie, the #1 rated movie over the weekend, huge numbers at the box office, and it was, according to Axios, fueled by liberal and progressive moviegoers. Conservatives aren't seeing this thing, and for good reason. I'm telling you right now, Mark, you'll get mad when you, and I went, it's one of those movies where I got home, first of all, I wanted to leave 2 or 3 times in the middle of it. I thought, this is so stupid. Kirsten Dunst, she's the war photographer, and they use this technique of, she's taking pictures of the war, and they show the black, and it's just stupid. But think of the Central Park stabbing death of Donald Trump, and you will see why I am enraged at the evil viciousness, the degeneracy of what they're force-feeding us. And incidentally, they're very clever about it. It's so bad that they're pretending it's not necessarily about Donald Trump. That he's not necessarily Trump. Baloney. Yeah, can you at least put him in a blue tie? It is so disgusting what this message is. And it's a dystopian movie about what would it be like if we had an actual civil war in this country, and it's pretty vile what we're and it does. I think it ties in nicely to Trump's trial this week, and he's departing this morning. Images right now, the helicopters showing his motorcade going to the courtroom. As Jonathan Turley points out, it's a know-nothing misdemeanor. If they'd have put the words hush money on the form with whatever Michael Cohen did, there's no crime.
That's it. It's lying to your own checkbook.
Exactly right.
There's no fraud. There's no victim. Tell everybody what you mean, because I kind of know, but fill in my blanks as well about how the movie, which is reflective of the current political tensions. We've never been so divided, which may or may not be true, but we really are. There's quite the everybody in their separate corners. But as Trump goes on trial, tell me what you mean when you say there's something emblematic that echoes that. Because I know what I think you mean, but you tell me what you actually mean.
bottom line is it's throw everything you can to stop this guy from getting reelected. Do everything you can. Hollywood is colliding with journalism. Wink, wink. I mean, did you see George Stephanopoulos with Sununu over the weekend?
Absolutely. Squish, Chris Sununu has there are two kinds of folks who two kinds of Republicans who really don't like Trump. Those who get over themselves and realize, all right, Biden's terrible, so I'm going to go ahead and back Trump, which Sununu did, good for him. And those who will not get over themselves, and Sununu is in the better group.
Well, Sununu pointed out to Stephanopoulos, who, by the way, it's worth pointing out, is a Democrat operative who was one of Bill Clinton's chief aides. Yeah. I mean, this is the objective newsman. So there's Stephanopoulos, no surprise, badgering Sununu. And Sununu said, and Stephanopoulos said, oh, you're with a president who's been accused of insurrection. You're with, and Sununu says, yeah, along with 51% of the country. Yeah. See, and that got me to thinking about these Never-Trumpers and what a miserable place they have to be in. Can you imagine what it's like to think that the majority of Americans are stupid and wrong?
Which they do. These are not people who just have a gripe about Trump. They think there's something fundamentally, organically the matter with us. You know, our former colleague, Joe Walsh, I've spanked him 15 times while you were away because I don't care about people that much on Twitter. But this notion of, oh, his supporters are okay, I'm just going after him. Listen, if you think Trump is Hitler, if you think he is a palpable existential threat to democracy, you have to think that his followers are crazy, insane, and in fact bad people. So don't even try to pull this, I don't have anything against his supporters. Nonsense.
Baloney. That's what it's all about. I saw Never-Trumper on MSNBC over the weekend, a clip, and he kept talking about these people, meaning Trump supporters. Well, as Sununu points out, it's at least 51%. I'd argue more. I mean, let's face it, the majority of Americans, it might be a slim majority, but a majority of Americans want this guy back in the Oval Office. And that's something that if you're a Never-Trumper, you got to look in the mirror and say, I hate most Americans. I hate a majority of Americans. I am against, and that's got to be on a purely human, personal level, Mark. That's got to be a lonely, miserable, sad place to be.
You're right. You would be right, and you are right with some who have a smidgen of self-awareness. Many of them don't. They will go to their graves thinking that they were right in their little treehouse of Trump hatred, and the rest of us were crazy.
Meanwhile, as a month or so ago, we were in Israel. Iran, rains down all these missiles and drone attacks on Israel. Amazingly, the Iron Dome and the missile defense system that they have over there was spectacular. How about in our own country, in Michigan, in Chicago, chance of death to America and death to Israel? Yeah. This is, and incidentally, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, is still silent on protesters in her state chanting death to America.
Did you catch the Fox News reporter chasing down Rashida Tlaib in the halls of the House office building? Will you condemn people who say, and she said, I don't talk to Fox News. I don't talk to Fox News. I don't talk to people who spread racist tropes. Racist tropes? What's it's like saying Hamas is bad is a racist trope? What?
Isn't that? And meanwhile, Biden's position is to scold Bibi Netanyahu and say, don't have a response to Iran. Take the win, Biden allegedly said to Bibi in a tense 45-minute phone call over the weekend. That's like saying you get punched in the mouth, and if you don't fall to the ground, you're supposed to stand there and take the win.
And doing nothing is a show of strength. So what should they do? What would you like them to do? What would you advise them to do?
I'm with John Fetterman. We ought to be all in with Israel. We ought to be. This guy.
Can you believe we're saying this? God bless him. He and I'll say this 50 times. It's the best line in the world. This is a guy who went to an actual mental hospital and came out less liberal. Fetterman is awesome.
Well, that gives some credence to the Michael Savage belief that liberalism is a mental disorder. Because you're right. Whatever happened to him in that institution. Because he has got such clarity and such
courage. And courage. People talk about courage. Oh, he's so courageous. Here, the real definition of courage, I'm defining everything today, is when you take a stand that'll get you eaten alive by your own side, even though you know you're right.
I want to find out if you think I'm right when you go see Civil War.
I'll get to it at some point. Might be a little time, but I really will. And
you know what'll be impossible for you because it's really hard for me.
What's that?
Not to give away the ending.
No, okay. No, I'll manage.
I don't know. I think the ending's important. I'm dying. I'm dying to give the ending out on my show. Why?
Don't
what do I
don't
care
do
about?
that.
Well, why do I care
know.
about ruining an anti-Trump movie?
Because it's just
Well,
bad
there's some
form.
rule,
Give it a
bad
couple
form?
of weeks. Yeah.
I mean,
You don't-
people are writing columns about it. You can see all kinds of. As soon as I popped
Well,
up,
okay, but the column, the column is. Don't most of them say spoiler alert? Stop reading now. I guess you could say turn off the radio for 30 seconds. But you're like me. If 30 seconds becomes 4 minutes, and
all
you'll
right,
go
but
off
I
on a
got to,
rant.
but I got to do it then. But all right, so you just gave me the last minute we
There
have,
you
and I
go.
know I got to
There you
get out. All right, spoiler alert. Turn down
Okay.
your radio for 1 minute.
Well, not now though. Do it on your own show.
Why not?
No,
Why
'cause
can't I
want
do it?
Because I don't want people turning off the radio on my show.
What's 30
Hey,
seconds?
it's a tease. And honestly, swear to God, I don't want to know. Ta-da!
But you figured it out.
I don't. Well, sort of, kind of, especially
Based on
since
what
I know
my hints.
and I know the secessionist forces are shown storming Washington in the preview. So let's just leave it at that. Be happy. Take the win. Take the W. Take the W.
Yeah.
Take the W.
Okay.
Well, look at the time. Look at the time. I love you.
Okay,
Glad
John
you're back.
Kirby. I love you. Great to be back.
Great to
Happy
be back.
Monday.
You're
Feel
right.
better.